I had the wonderful pleasure of spending the summer for a few weeks in Israel with my family. And I know that many of you have heard with some of the changes in Israeli politics, which I'm not getting into right now. I could see everybody's like, is this where we're going? It's not where we're going. That was Rosh Hashanah. With the changes in Israeli politics, many Israelis of all denominations, all faiths, are going to the streets and protesting these changes. And I actually went with my sister to one such protest. They've been happening for, about 50 consecutive Saturdays in a row. And when I got there, I saw this woman with her stroller and her little baby that had a T-shirt that was basically expressing their political views, and the little baby had like a tin bucket and was just drumming, and engaged. This kid must have been, I don't know, maybe 3 years old, and articulating Hebrew words that are not usually that of a 3-year-old, not profanity, but I mean political language. And I was really moved by it. And at one point, the little boy dropped one of his sticks, and the mom flipped around and was like, I have to get the other stick. She was so adamant about her son having this engagement with the protest at 3 years old. And I was really moved in that moment. I was really touched. She was there alone with her child among hundreds of thousands of people. It's a little bit of an intimidating place to be alone with a little boy, but I was really moved by it, and it really made me think a lot. On Yom Kippur, we read the words of Parashat Nitzavim. And the opening line, which Lisa Martel beautifully chanted for us, says, Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Adonai Elohechem, roshchem, shiftechem, ziknechem, v'shotfechem, kol ish Yisrael, tafchem, nashechem, v'gar'echem, asher bekerev ma'ancha, mechotef etzecha, ad shoev meimecha. You stand here on this day, all of you, before your God Adonai, your tribal heads, your elders, your officials, every household in Israel, your children, your wives, even the stranger within your camp, from wood chopper to water drawer, to enter into covenant with God Adonai. In other words, everyone, adults and children alike, no matter your background, profession, age, enters into covenant with God. Our Torah is sending us a message, a very clear one. The passage doesn't say just all of, the passage doesn't just say all of you, but rather each one of you together, both the singular and the collective. It's a magnificent invitation to draw us all near. And we read this Torah portion each Yom Kippur, and as I was preparing for the holiday this year, I was particularly struck with Tafchem, your children or your little ones. Can you imagine this moment in the desert? The Israelites all stand there in this life-altering experience, and even our infants, our newborns, are brought into covenant. And this is not altogether foreign to us, because the Jewish community celebrates our members starting at birth by doing a brit or a bris, or a baby naming ceremony where we welcome our youngest members of our family into covenant. But what does this moment mean for our children? Are we sharing enough of the covenant with them as they grow older? What roles do we set aside for our children that is meant just for them? And in turn, what does that mean about our role in the covenant in raising the next generation to be members of this world? In a world marked by both challenges and opportunities, we are presented with a sacred duty to be and to help our young ones not only respond to what is happening around them, but to actively find ways to improve the world they live in with new and creative ideas, a step beyond what we were able to accomplish. If we look at today's young trailblazers in the world, we see an inspiring light for a bright future. Consider the story of Malala Yousafzai, a Pakistani girl who defied oppressive forces to advocate for the right to educate girls in her country. Malala's unwavering spirit and resilience led her to become the youngest ever Nobel Prize laureate. Her courage serves as a testament to the power of education and the indomitable spirit of youth. Closer to home, we find Greta Thunberg, a Swedish teenager whose solitary climate strike grew into a global movement. Greta's unyielding demand for climate action has mobilized millions to demand accountability and change from our leaders. Her clarion call to protect and preserve our planet reminds us of our responsibility to safeguard God's creations. In a fast-paced world where 140 characters and 30-second feeds thrive, how do we slow the clock down and focus on ourselves to better serve those who will be tomorrow's future? And to clarify, I speak of children and the next generation, but really, we need to set this example not only for our own families, but all of those around us. We are leaders in our families, siblings, cousins, nieces, nephews. In our place of work, we influence and affect those who work with us and interact with us on a daily basis. How do we take our role as shapers of positive change and thoughtfully guide those around us to be deliberate change makers? As we delve into the profound ideas found in Parashat Nitzavim, we examine what it looks like and what it means to inspire those around us to be active participants in civil discourse, particularly as it relates to the blossoming future generations around us. We first examine ourselves and see where we can become more intentional. Our tradition clearly reflects what is happening in the world around us, that being passive and laissez-faire only further polarizes us, and that taking action is an essential ingredient in our mission to create a better world. When Moses stands before the Israelites declaring that they stand united before God to enter into a covenant, the covenant signifies their commitment to uphold the teachings and commandments, a pact that not only requires faith, but also intentional participation. Moses emphasizes that every individual, regardless of age or station, has a role to play in upholding this sacred covenant. Maimonides, a 12th century Spanish commentator and philosopher, wrote in his Mishneh Torah, "Every Jew is obligated to study Torah, whether young or old, poor or wealthy, healthy or afflicted in body, whether they have many children or are childless." Here we see the significance of commitment for all individuals with continuous engagement with our tradition. The prayer that we chant on Shabbat mornings, Eilu Devarim, these are the things that are limitless. Each of the good deeds we perform all derive from the study of Torah. The study of Torah is not just to help us determine what is good or bad, but more importantly, to ground us in our values and help us focus on what's important, removing ever-present distractions. Ibn Ezra, who is another great Spanish Jewish scholar, takes us even a step further. He recognizes that civil discourse and change must first begin with open and respectful dialogue. He wrote, "The world endures only by virtue of the breath of school children." These words echo across centuries, reminding us that we must mold young minds and those that we interact with, and only then can we navigate the complexities of our ever-changing world. If we can't come together in conversation, how can we ever find middle ground? And more importantly, if we don't teach our next generation to navigate difficulty and confront challenges, what kind of world will they have left to circumnavigate? Our contemporary society comprises of diverse voices, where perspectives intersect and continuous discourse is the cornerstone of progress. Conversation and debate encourage us to listen attentively, to speak thoughtfully, and engage empathetically. It is a means to transform differences into unity, fostering an environment where positive change can flourish. If we consider the recent study by the Pew Research Center, we find that societies with strong levels of civil discourse experience higher rates of political stability, economic growth, and social cohesion. By actively participating in conversations, we contribute to the development of crafting solutions that address pressing issues, paving the way for a brighter future. The importance of civil discourse is more critical than ever in our interconnected world. We are bombarded with information from various sources, and the art of respectful conversation can sometimes get lost in that noise. It is estimated that over 50% of people obtain news from social media platforms, where echo chambers form, perpetuating divisive ideologies and hindering productive discussions. Today's teenagers face a unique set of challenges as they navigate a world transformed by technology, social media, and rapidly changing societal norms. According to a study done by the Pew Research Center, a staggering 95% of American teenagers have access to cell phones, while 45% report being online almost constantly. These tools have revolutionized communication and information sharing, but they have also given rise to new forms of peer pressure, cyberbullying, and anxiety. According to a survey conducted by the National Institute of Mental Health, over 30% of adolescents in the United States experience an anxiety disorder by the age of 18 years old. Furthermore, studies highlight the impact of social media on self-esteem and body image, underscoring the need for courage and self-acceptance. With modernizing the way we communicate and sharing information, we must help our teenagers navigate what is constructive and productive for their learning and interaction and what is harmful. We must arm them with self-awareness, effective communication skills, supportive relationships, media literacy education, and assertiveness training. We must guide their learning for good and for betterment so they don't become stymied with harmful content. In this way, we help foster resilience and self-confidence and help develop well-adjusted individuals capable of making positive contributions to society. But first, we must learn to do those things for ourselves before we introduce these ideas to those around us. Our country has grown divergent. It has become easier to ignore, block, or delete the other rather than confront or converse. We have forgotten to build together on shared values and have allowed differences to split us even further. I take to heart our brothers and sisters across the ocean in Israel at this time. In Israel, with all of the recent changes in the government, has made it very difficult for Israelis, secular youth in particular, to live with divided undercurrents that will soon perhaps suffocate Israeli democracy. Our tradition teaches us that the value of diverse perspectives. In Leviticus 19:18, we are commanded to love your neighbor as yourself. This love extends beyond mere emotion. It implies actively engaging with one another, understanding different viewpoints, and striving to find common ground. Research has shown that societies that encourage open dialogue and respect for differing opinions tend to be more innovative, economically prosperous, and socially harmonious. But how does embracing civil discourse from a young age influence our development as individuals and as a community? The answer lies in the transformative power of education and engagement. Studies have indicated that young people exposed to diverse perspectives and taught the art of respectful communication grow up to be more empathetic, open-minded, and socially responsible adults. I'd like to turn inward for a moment. Perhaps the most important consequences of shaping the minds of our next generation is to give them a raison d'être, a reason to get up in the morning and inspire what they will do and who they will become. It will instill a sense of confidence and set them in motion to make a good and healthy decision for themselves and for their community. And in so doing, we too have the opportunity to craft the people we want to see leading the future. The time we invest in our next generation will pay in dividends. We will see the benefits of a more peaceful world, a more just world, and more importantly, individuals who feel a true sense of joy and determination that won't be broken by exterior transgressions. And in today's increasingly polarized world, characterized by divisions and discord, Parashat Nitzavim offers a timeless message of unity and responsibility. Moses gathers the Israelites before they enter into the Promised Land, reminding them that they stand together as one people, regardless of their differences. He imparts the significance of actively engaging in dialogue, of being present and attentive, and of working collectively for the common good. In Parashat Nitzavim, Deuteronomy 30:15, we are told that our days will always have life and prosperity, death and adversity. Our lives are complex, filled with joy, but also opposition and adversity. It is through moments of adversity that we actually develop who we are. Our shared values come to play, and we learn how to interact with others. In a world that promotes false perfection, we will always fall short. But in a world that allows for error and repair, we can live in comfort knowing that we can always do better. It is not about seeking perfection or solving every problem. It is the way we interact with others, guided by our morality and sense of integrity. Parashat Nitzavim is actually one of the shortest Torah portions in our Torah, and the word chaim, life, appears 5 times in one chapter. There's this understanding that to live, we are meant to struggle alongside the joy. On this Yom Kippur, let us acknowledge the work that lies ahead in confirming that we will support the next generation to guide them in becoming citizens of the world. Just as a tree flourishes from a small seed, so too do our young members grow into compassionate individuals when nurtured through meaningful engagement. Gmar Chatima Tova, may you all be sealed in the book of life.